The Great Resignation and Quiet Quitting: Understanding Two Interconnected Workplace Phenomena Reshaping Human Resource Management. Overview: Two sides of the same coin. The Great Resignation: over 47 million workers voluntarily quit their jobs in 2021, with monthly quit rates reaching historic highs of 3% or more, significantly above pre-pandemic levels of approximately 2.3%. This unprecedented wave of departures affected virtually all industries, signaling a fundamental recalibration of the employment relationship. Quiet quitting: employees fulfill only basic job requirements while declining additional responsibilities. Gallup data shows only 21% of employees worldwide were engaged at work in 2022, with approximately 50% of U.S. workers exhibiting quiet quitting behaviors, performing minimum requirements while withdrawing discretionary effort. The continuum of disengagement: these phenomena represent 2 points on a continuum of employee response to workplace dissatisfaction. The Great Resignation reflects active exit, employees voting with their feet. Quiet quitting represents passive disengagement, employees remaining physically present while psychologically withdrawing. Full engagement: high discretionary effort and organizational commitment, minimum requirements only, boundaries set, active job search, psychological withdrawal while seeking alternatives, physical departure from organization. Quiet quitting often serves as a precursor to resignation or as an alternative for those unable to leave due to financial constraints or limited opportunities. Root causes: what's driving both phenomena? Burnout and exhaustion. By 2021, 52% of employees reported burnout compared with 43% pre-pandemic. The WHO formally recognized burnout as an occupational phenomenon in 2019, characterized by emotional exhaustion, cynicism, and reduced efficacy. Work-life boundary erosion: constant availability expectations and blurred work-home boundaries left employees unable to recover. Many concluded previous arrangements were unsustainable, prompting either resignation or firmer boundary setting. Declining engagement: employee engagement declined significantly during and after the pandemic. Contributing factors include unclear roles, meaningless work, inadequate recognition, limited development opportunities, and poor relationships with managers. Toxic organizational cultures: toxic culture was the strongest predictor of attrition during the Great Resignation, far outweighing compensation or work-life balance. Elements included diversity failures, disrespectful treatment, unethical behavior, and cutthroat competition. The burnout epidemic: burnout reached epidemic levels during the pandemic, becoming a primary catalyst for both resignation and disengagement. The relationship is bidirectional and cyclical. When high performers leave, remaining employees face increased workloads, intensifying their burnout. Increased workloads reduced staff with same demands, blurred boundaries, remote work eliminated separation, ongoing uncertainty, pandemic stress, and economic fears reduced recovery, limited opportunities to disconnect. Management impact: the manager factor: immediate supervisors critically shape employee engagement, retention, and discretionary effort. Employees don't leave companies, they leave managers. Poor management was frequently cited as a primary reason for departure during the Great Resignation. Employees with highly effective managers were 77% less likely to exhibit quiet quitting behaviors and significantly less likely to leave voluntarily. Managers who fail to provide clear expectations, regular feedback, recognition, and development support contribute to both resignation and disengagement. What employees need: clear expectations and goals, regular, meaningful feedback, authentic recognition, development opportunities, genuine support and empathy, psychological safety. Generational shifts in work attitudes: Millennials and Gen Z have challenged traditional loyalty norms, prioritizing personal well-being over organizational commitment. These differences reflect both cohort effects and responses to economic reality. 23% long-term commitment: only 23% of employees aged 42 and under show strong interest in staying with their companies long-term. 18% younger workers: just 18% of those aged 30 and under plan to stay, reflecting more transactional employment views. 40% work as identity: only about 4 in 10 non Self-employed workers consider their job extremely or very important to their overall identity. Organizational impact. The cost of disengagement. Both phenomena significantly affect organizational performance, though impacts differ in nature and magnitude. The Great Resignation's effects are immediate and visible, while quiet quitting's impacts are subtler but potentially equally significant. The Great Resignation impact: loss of institutional knowledge, disrupted workflows and team dynamics, recruitment costs, 50 to 200% of annual salary, training and onboarding expenses, reduced organizational capacity. Quiet quitting impact: loss of discretionary effort and innovation, reduced collaboration and problem-solving, decreased organizational citizenship behaviors, erosion of workplace culture, diminished competitive advantage. Key finding: top engagement quartile organizations outperformed bottom quartile organizations by 23% in profitability, 18% in productivity, and 43% in retention. The engagement crisis. The reinforcing cycle. The Great Resignation and quiet quitting can reinforce each other in destructive ways, creating negative spirals that are difficult to break without fundamental organizational change. Employee perspective. Boundary setting or poor work ethic. From many employees' perspectives, both phenomena represent healthy boundary setting, self-preservation, and the exercise of agency against unreasonable demands. The debate centers on competing interpretations of these behaviors. Employee view: necessary boundaries. Reclaiming personal time and autonomy, refusing to sacrifice health and relationships, rejecting constant availability expectations, and establishing sustainable work patterns. Organizational view: declining commitment, reduced work ethic, lack of organizational loyalty, unwillingness to go above and beyond, and failure to meet implicit expectations of discretionary effort. The psychological contract breakdown. Both phenomena reflect violations of the psychological contract, the unwritten mutual expectations governing employment relationships. When employees perceive broken promises or misaligned values, they withdraw discretionary effort or leave entirely. Traditional contract employees provided long-term commitment and loyalty, unlimited discretionary effort, flexibility and availability. Organizations provided job security and stability, career development and advancement, genuine investment in well-being. Current reality: employees still expected to provide discretionary effort and loyalty, constant availability, flexibility and adaptability. Organizations increasingly provide limited job security, minimal development investment, performative well-being initiatives. Solutions addressing root causes. Effective organizational responses must address root causes rather than symptoms. Instead of forcing engagement or preventing departures through retention bonuses, organizations should identify and improve the conditions contributing to turnover and disengagement. Workload management: ensure demands are challenging but manageable with adequate resources and recovery time. Avoid redistributing departed employees' work without additional support. Management development: invest in manager training for providing clear expectations, regular feedback, recognition, and development support. Prioritize management quality in promotions. Authentic recognition: implement recognition systems that are specific, timely, and genuine rather than generic or performative. Employees who feel valued are less likely to disengage or leave. Redefining performance expectations: if meeting formal requirements while maintaining boundaries constitutes quiet quitting, organizations may need to fundamentally re-examine their performance expectations and job design assumptions. 01 Clarify required versus discretionary. Distinguish required performance standards from truly discretionary contributions in job descriptions and evaluations. 02 Ensure sustainability. Verify that expectations are reasonable and sustainable without constant above and beyond effort. 03 Align actions with values. Close gaps between espoused values and actual practices, especially regarding work-life balance. 04 Create psychological safety. Enable employees to voice concerns without negative consequences, providing opportunities for proactive problem-solving. The leadership imperative. Authentic leadership is essential for addressing both phenomena. This means acknowledging challenges, demonstrating genuine concern for employee well-being, and aligning actions with stated values. Authentic leadership characteristics: self-awareness and transparency, ethical behavior and integrity, balanced information processing, genuine concern for employees, acknowledgement of challenges. Research found that authentic leadership was strongly associated with both retention and engagement. Organizations with authentic leadership during the Great Resignation experienced lower turnover and less widespread quiet quitting. When organizations claim to value work-life balance while rewarding excessive hours, both resignation and disengagement follow. Leadership must close the gap between rhetoric and reality. Investing in genuine well-being. Comprehensive employee well-being approaches represent a critical organizational response. Well-being initiatives must address fundamental issues of workload, autonomy, and recovery rather than offering superficial perks. Physical health, sustainable workloads, and adequate recovery time. Mental health, psychological safety, and stress management support. Work-life balance, genuine flexibility, and boundary. Respect, sense of purpose, meaningful work connected to organizational mission. Critical distinction: meditation apps and gym memberships cannot compensate for excessive workloads, lack of control, or toxic management. Address fundamental job design issues first. Action Plan. 12 Recommendations for HR Practitioners. Research gaps and future directions. Several areas warrant additional research to better understand these phenomena and develop more effective organizational responses. Longitudinal studies track trajectories of quiet quitters and those who resign to understand long-term outcomes. Intervention effectiveness research: which strategies most effectively prevent turnover and disengagement. Industry differences: examine how phenomena manifest across industries, occupations, and contexts. Potential benefits: explore whether these force necessary organizational changes or represent healthy boundary setting. Societal implications: examine effects on productivity, innovation, economic growth, and the future of work. A call for fundamental change. The Great Resignation and quiet quitting challenge organizations to confront uncomfortable questions about workplace expectations, the sustainability of contemporary work practices, and the nature of employment relationships. Rather than viewing these as problems to be solved through increased pressure, surveillance, or retention bonuses, organizations should recognize them as signals that fundamental changes may be needed in how work is organized, how employees are managed, and how success is defined. Organizations that respond effectively will use both phenomena as catalysts to create more sustainable, equitable, and genuinely engaging workplaces where employees can thrive while maintaining healthy boundaries and work-life balance. Key takeaways moving forward. The path to sustainable workplaces. Interconnected phenomena. The Great Resignation and quiet quitting are two responses to similar workplace failures: burnout, poor work-life balance, toxic cultures, and declining engagement. Address root causes. Effective responses require addressing systemic issues rather than treating symptoms through retention bonuses or increased pressure management. Matters. Immediate supervisors critically shape retention and engagement. Investing in management development is essential. Reimagine employment. Building new relationships based on genuine reciprocity, transparency, and authentic commitment to well-being is critical. Opportunity for transformation.